Hi friends, welcome back to our channel Total QA. In our channel, we posted multiple videos and we categorized these videos into different playlists. If you look into the playlist here, we have playlists mainly for GitHub as well. As part of this topic, we have a Git Bash, which is mainly useful to execute commands. And also in addition to that, we can execute Unix commands in Git Bash. So in today's topic, we are going to discuss about what are the different Unix commands we can execute in the Git Bash and learn from it. Let's get into the topic now. A short introduction on Git Bash. Git Bash is a command line based tool, allows us to easily execute Git commands. There are different Git commands like git clone, git status, git commit and git push, git pull. So there are multiple Git commands we can execute in Git Bash, which is a command line based tool inside the Windows environment. And also it also helps us to execute Unix style command line based commands in the Windows environment. So we are going to see now what are the different Unix commands we are going to execute in the Git Bash. I already opened Git Bash. I will navigate to a specific directory. Then I'll start executing all the Unix commands one by one. Okay. So let me get into a directory to start executing Unix commands. I'll just go to a directory which is already available in my laptop, which is Selenium artifacts. Then under this I go to the under Selenium artifacts, we'll start executing all the commands. The first command we see here, ls. What is ls? ls will list all the files in the current directory. If you look at the directory name is Selenium artifacts. Suppose I give ls. I can list all the files in the current directory. It will show the directories as well. It will show the files as well. ls, listing all the files and directories in the current directory. Okay. So what is this ls? How do we know the help documentation for ls? If you wanted to know the documentation for any Unix command, we can simply type ls --help. If you provide this command, automatically we can see the documentation of this command ls. Here, if you look at here, let me just scroll up, you will find ls --help. If you try to provide this in Git Bash, you get to know the information, the documentation for ls command. List information about the files, the current directory by default. So it means if you wanted to identify the files which are available in a specific directory, we can provide it. If you don't provide it, it will try to list all the files in the current directory and sort entries alphabetically. Okay, so like that there are so many commands which are available. Suppose if you look at the commands such as, suppose you see here long listing format. Suppose if I give -l, it will give us long listing format. And if you try to use, there is another command which we mainly use, that is -a. If you see here, do not ignore entries starting with dot. If you're familiar with Git repository, whenever we download a Git repository, we will see a .git folder which is a hidden file, hidden directory. If you wanted to list down those hidden folders as well, we have to use ls -a, which will show the hidden folders as well. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's create one. Let's try to download one repository, then we'll proceed further. Let me download one repository. Let me go to Git Bash. So let's say clear. Clear will clear the screen. Clear is the command which will clear the screen. Clear. Okay, now suppose I download one repository. Let me download one repository which is available so that we can try to see what is the content available within the repository. Okay, so now I see this is a Git repository. There are different tutorials available in the Git repository. Suppose I wanted to download this Git repository, which is Selenium Java tutorial day 2. I wanted to copy this repository. Just select here. It will copy the URL here. Just go back to the Git Bash. Type that command here. Right click. Just click on paste. It will give the repository URL. When I say git clone, it is creating a folder Java tutorial day 2. Under Java tutorial, the contents will be downloaded into the Java tutorial day 2. Let me navigate to the Java tutorial day 2 folder. CD means changing the directory. So I just go to this folder. Whenever we try to download any repository, it creates a folder. We are navigating to this folder. I just give ls. When I give ls, what happens here? I see only 4 files, or 4 or 5 files. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 files I can see. But what happens here? We wanted to see the hidden folders as well. Whenever we download a Git repository, it is always showing a one hidden folder as well, but which we cannot see here. If you wanted to see that hidden folder, we give ls-a, which will give the .git folder, // these two directories also will show, and also the hidden folders which are available within this repository also we can see. And also, let me clear the screen, and also we can even give ls-al. L means long listing format. -a stands for listing the hidden folders, okay, or hidden files which are starting with dot. And also mainly the L stands mainly for listing, long listing format. It will show the files. So this is a majorly used command in Unix. Not only in Unix, if you are trying to access the Git Bash, if you wanted to list the contents of a Git repository which we have downloaded, we use ls-al. And the help is, if I just give ls -help, I will get the information of the ls command, and I can associate any argument using -a, -l, like that, or we can combine both the commands al and list all the contents in the directory, current directory. Not only that, as I said, if you are don't providing any command, any path, it will take the current directory. What does it mean? Suppose I just give ls. Let me do one thing. Let me come out of this folder. ls. Suppose, let me show you. ls here, ls -al, and if I give the directory name, what is the directory name? This is the directory name, right? Java tutorial day 2 is the directory name. So what is happening? Either I can give ls-al, it will take the current directory, or else I can give any path that will help us to list the contents of the folder as well. Either I can give ls-al. What does ls-al stands for? Here it will try to take the current directory, which is Selenium artifacts, or else if I want, I can provide the path, and the contents of the path will be shown as well using this command ls-al. Okay, now ls is completed, ls-al is completed. I will add one more thing, ls-al. You can give path, any path you can provide. This will take a default as current directory for your information. Okay, the next command is, how do we create a directory in Unix? If you'd like to create a directory under Unix, what we can do here is, you can try to, let me clear the screen. Let's create a directory using mkdir. The directory name. Suppose the directory name is, say, Git Bash commands. I'm creating one directory as Git Bash commands for our information. I created a directory Git Bash commands. What is mkdir stands for? It will help us to create a directory. And also if we want mkdir and provide here the help, we get to know the information of this command. This will help us to create the directory. If they do not already exist, if it is already available, you cannot create this directory. That's the reason you always give mkdir and provide the directory name. And also, how do we list the contents of the directory now? ls-al. We can see this directory is created already. Let me check. Git Bash commands is created already. Yes. So we can see the contents as well. Clear the screen. Always you clear the screen so that it will be easy for us to understand what command we are going to execute. So mkdir will help us to create a directory if it is not already exists. Okay, now just now we created a directory which is mkdir, the git bash commands. Suppose we wanted to go to this directory, navigate to this directory, that is cd git bash commands. That is git bash commands is a directory which will navigate. cd helps us to change the directory. Let's see the help command for cd. If you look at what is cd stands here, cd stands here change the shell working directory, change the current working directory. So it will help us to change the directory for us. And also we always need to keep in mind, in the case of Unix, you have to use this slash very importantly, which is that backward slash we have to use. Generally in Windows we use forward slash, but in the case of Unix we use forward slash. It is very important. And also dot, the default is to symbolic links as if we specified the dot is processed dot. This will discuss now, dot and dot, but as of now cd means change the directory. Okay, now let's see very important commands which is dot and dot. When I say cd dot, it will change to the current directory only. The current directory stands here as dot. When I say dot, it means this is the current directory. It will navigate to the parent of this directory, which is Filename artifacts. I wanted to navigate to the parent folder of this directory. I should use cd dot. See here, it has navigated. So it is very important. Dot means current directory. If you want to navigate to the parent of the folder, the parent of the subfolder, we have to give dot. Let me do one more thing here. Let's go back to the git bash commands again. Suppose I want to navigate dot. Is it possible? cd dot. No, it's not possible. You can navigate to the parent of the directory only, but you cannot navigate to parent of it. So dot. It's not possible. In the case of Unix, you can give dot, which will help us to navigate to the parent of the folder. Okay. So this is for parent of the folder. This helps us to current folder. Okay, sometimes it's important for us to navigate or to understand currently which directory we are in. So you can just give present working directory. PWD stands here as present working directory. If you want to get the help, again pwd --help, which helps us to know what is this. The pwd commands does. Print the name of the current working directory. Print the name of the current working directory. This is very important to understand where are we right now, which directory we are available right now. And the next command we see here is rm. What is rm? Rm is remove the file. You can remove the file, we can remove the directory. Suppose for example, I am creating a file now. If you want to create a file in Unix, you can use a touch command, say sample.txt. I created a file. And also I created a directory as well. Let's create a directory as well. mkdir. I just give here say sample as a directory. Two things I created. One file I created, one directory I created. How do you see the list of the contents here? ls-al if you give to know the folders and the directories and also hidden files if they are available, we can see here. Just give ls-al. We see there are two things here. One is sample. One is sample.txt. Sample is a directory. How do we know? You can see here it starts with D. If it starts with D, the character D, it means it is a directory. We just now created a directory, mkdir directory, and also we created a file. And we see the contents of the directory ls-al. ls-al means what? As I mentioned, it will point to the current directory only if we don't give the path. So we see the contents here. Now, I wanted to delete a file. If you want to delete a file, you can say rm minus that rm and the file name. It will delete the file. But if we'd like to delete a directory, you have to give rm minus rf and the directory name R means here minus R. R is recursively. What does recursively means? Suppose for example this directory which we are downloading, which we are deleting right now, has also some files, and that directory also has some more subdirectories. So like that there will be chain. So in that case you have to recursively delete the folder under the contents of the folder as well. So that's the reason we give rm minus rf. So let's see the help. What does it mean? Rm -- help, which will help us to know what is this here. If you look at here, R minus R, R capital R. Sometimes you see minus R, caps. But don't worry about it. Both are same. It removes the directories and their contents recursively. Okay, recursively. F means what? Force. Suppose for example, if there are any files which are not available, also you can forcefully delete them. It will never ask you. Sometimes what happens whenever we're deleting some files in Windows, it will ask you, do you want me to delete this file? Say yes or no. Right? That's the reason if you just say rm minus rf, F means force, R means recursively, it will delete the contents of the folder. This is very important. So rm means remove the files or the directories, depends upon the command we provide. Just see it clear now. Next thing is, just now I said touch. Touch is a command which helps us to create a file. Touch is a command which helps us to create a file. So you can even find the help for touch -help. See here now, touch. Update the access and modification times of each file to the current time. A file argument that does not exist created empty. Right? File argument mainly touch we can use to create a file. I just now created a file right now for our understanding. You can do the same thing now. Next thing, let me clear it. Now we always need to understand that how are we going to modify the file. We can modify the file in Windows using Notepad, Edit plus, Notepad plus, or if you want to modify the Java program, we can modify the program in Eclipse. But suppose for example, if you want to modify the file, I created a Java program. Let's see, I'm creating a Java program, touch hello world Java. I created a Java program. Suppose for example, I wanted to modify this file right now in Unix shell. This is Unix shell mainly. In Git Bash, we're having a bash. So let me try to access this file. How do we access this file? Vi is an editor which will help us to modify this file now. Just open this file, vi, the file name. Then I just click on I in my keyboard, I, which will help us to insert some lines of text. I'm inserting some lines of text, say public class hello world, and I can write some steps here, public static void main, right? Then I can just try to write system dot out dot, and then here I just write hello world. So I have written some Java statements here. Now my insertion of the lines is completed. I press escape key in my keyboard. The insertion is completed. Then I have to enter colon, pressing colon in my keyboard, and just give W. W is for write, Q is for quit. So it will save the lines of code until quit this file. Vi hello world.java. So we just now edited the file, modified the file. Sometimes what happens, let me try to again, I pressed page up arrow in my keyboard. So it will take the previous command what we have executed, vi hello world.java. Suppose I have written, let me try to insert few more lines of code. I click on I in my keyboard, then insert I in my keyboard. I just write some lines of code, colon, say hello world program. Now what happens, suppose I don't want these lines of code to be committed or to be added to this file. I want to ignore these lines of code. I inserted it, but I want to ignore. Just click on escape in your keyboard. Just give colon, type Q, and just mention not. It means we are not going to save these lines of files, these lines into this current file. I just say Q. It is coming out of it. So what is the advantage of colon Q? Colon Q, it will not write, colon Q not, it will not write, it will simply quit, ignoring the lines of code. But if you give colon WQ, it means it will write and the contents will be saved accordingly. So that is what I have mentioned here. Colon WQ means write and quit here, ignore the lines of code and quit. Okay, now, so what are the files? What are the file contents we added? We added in the way editor using a file name. Can we see the contents of the file? Yes, we can see the contents of a file right now. How? See here, cat. So the file contents we can see using cat hello world.java. This is the advantage of the cat command. Now, after this seeing the contents of the file, suppose for example I wanted to see last 2 lines of the file. Is it possible to see the last few lines of the file? Yes, using a tail command, tail -2. But we have to give the file name. Let's give the file name tail -2 hello world Java. What is the advantage of tail? Tail will give you the number of lines of code from the last line. Suppose -2, last 2 lines. Suppose I wanted to see last 5 lines. We can do like this, right? So it's up to us how many lines of code we have to see. Suppose I want to see last 10 lines. We can see last 10 lines. So cat will help you to list the contents of the file. Tail will help you the last 5 lines, last 10 lines it will come. Similarly, we have head command as well. Head is from the beginning, tail is from the end. Suppose I wanted to see last or first 5 lines, head -5 hello world.java. You can see first 5 lines. So head and tail will help you the file to view the contents of the file from the last 5 lines or last 10 lines, depends upon the requirement. It will be helpful mainly whenever we try to download or whenever we wanted to see the server logs. We always have a logs, right? Any log file, if you want to see the contents last 5, last 10, you can see that. And also not only that, there are so many commands like tail -f. If there are any newly added lines to a file which we can see, suppose I just put hello world.java here again, we can see full content, but because it is not showing any newly added content, the existing content it has shown. But just keep in mind, head and tail will help us to see the contents of the file from the beginning and from the end. So I will add head also here, head and tail, or else I'll just try to put head from the beginning, of the file, and tail from the end of the file. Okay, so this is how it helps us. You can just see help, head -- help. You can see the contents. Also, let's try to clear this now. Head -- help. We can see the contents of the help head command. What it does, print the first 10 lines of the each file to the standard output. If you want more files, you can give the -n, the number of lines you can provide. Similarly for tail as well. Okay, now the next command I see here is word count. Word count, it is mainly helpful for us to print the characters. Suppose now we created the file, the hello world.java. Can I see the contents of the, or can I try to find out the word count in this file? Yes, word count hello world.java. So we got. See, if you see word count, if you see here, there 10 lines are there. So 114 characters and 13. So 13 lines, something like that. We get the information here. Let me show you the help command, -- help. See here. So bytes or characters, lines. Suppose just give word count -l hello world.java. We know the number of lines which are available. There are totally 10 lines. Suppose for example, if you give -c, the bytes we get hello world.java. We get 114 bytes. Suppose if you want to see the characters -m, you get the hello world.java. So you can find the information which is available. So characters or bytes both are same. Similarly, you can see all this information, or the words. How many words are there? Let's see the words. Word count -word w. 13 words. So 13 words, 10 lines, 114 characters, which is the information which is getting displayed by using the command wc, which is very helpful for us in the Unix as a Unix command. The next command in the list is hostname. Let me clear it out. Hostname. Usually hostname I'm not getting any information, but generally what happens, yeah, we got the hostname as this. Generally what happens is, if you're trying to access any system as a server, if you wanted to see the host name, you can just give hostname. This also you have a help, hostname -help, which will help you to know what is this command for. Print or set the host name of the current system. You can see hostname -help display the help, or else output version information and exit. Suppose you just give here hostname -version. So it shows GNU core utils. It is giving some information about the version as well. Just use this command to know the information about the host. Similarly, there are a few more commands which will help us to learn about more information of the disk usage. So there is a command called disk free. Suppose if you want to know disk free, you can use disk free command df. Suppose if you want to see du, suppose just say disk usage. We have a git bash commands, right? Just give du dot. It will take the git bash commands. It will show the number of bytes available. So disk usage, disk free. These two are very good commands which will help us to understand the disk usage of your Unix or a Windows operating system also using these two commands. And there are a few more commands I'll show you. Suppose if I give ls-al, we can see there's a hello world.java. Suppose let me go out of this folder, cd dot navigates to the parent of this folder. Then I give here again clear this, just ls-al. If I give, I see so many things here, but I see so many files, but I wanted to display only the files which has Selenium in the file name. The file names which are having Selenium I wanted to print. I just give ls-al. Let me clear it out. ls-al. I'm getting so many files. I wanted to use a pipe symbol in the keyboard, then I just use grep command. Grep is for matching the pattern. The pattern is Selenium. So what happens here, when you give ls-al, I get so many files that entire output is given to a next command which is grep. The grep, what it does, it will do pattern matching and just display only the files which are having Selenium. So this is also very important command which will help us to grep the files which are having Selenium. And not only that, what are the information we are getting via grep? We can even output this file, output these commands, the information also we can output to another file for viewing this content. Suppose I wanted to store this in a file. Give greater than symbol, say here Selenium matching contents .txt. So what is the advantage of it? So we are trying to provide one command which will list all the files in the current directory, which is given as an output to this command. It will give you only 5 entries which are matching Selenium. That information we can store in a file to view later. Enter. What happens? The contents are stored in a file. How do you view the contents of a file? Using a cat command. This I said already, cat will help you to view the contents of a file. Just give this Selenium match. So I can view the contents of a file. That is a good advantage. This entire line of command will help you to understand one output is given as input to another command in the case of Unix. Okay, so cat will help you to list the contents of a file. Similarly, suppose if you wanted to see the commands what we have executed just now, we have executed almost some 20-30 commands. If you wanted to see those commands which we have executed just now, you can give history is the command. We can give 20. We can see last 20 commands what we have executed. So history is one of the command in Unix to list down the commands what we have executed right now. So I will add those as well here. History will give the list all the commands executed, and also it's ls-al pipe symbol grep, and the pattern match is one command. And if you are interested, you can even output the contents to any file name. You can just give filename.txt. So like that, there are so many Unix commands which are available, but these are all sufficient for us. If you are trying to access any Unix server to list the contents of the file, to view the log file entries, to do any kind of research on the directory structure or the disk usage or disk free, it will be always helpful. You can try all these commands in the Git Bash without downloading or without installing Unix operating system in your laptop. Right? This will help you to clear some interviews in Selenium as well, because sometimes we always mention different operating systems in our resume as Windows or Unix. So Windows and Unix. So that's the reason, try to add Unix in your resume as well. Learn these commands, that is sufficient. You can easily clear the interviews in Unix as well. Thanks for watching my video. If you like my video, please subscribe and share to your friends.